One of the biggest misconceptions on plastics is that they aren't a miracle of modern day convenience. They're something that was kind of forced upon us by the plastics industry.
The recent research has shown microplastics to be found in human reproductive organs, like in the human testes. It travels around in our blood, doing things we don't know yet.
People really underestimate the climate impacts of plastics production and use, and is projected to account for around 19% of the global carbon budget.
There is no guarantee that if it's recyclable, it is in reality recycled.
Actually, what we are experiencing, the plastic crisis, is primarily a responsibility of excessive production of plastic products, which then in turn leads to overconsumption.
Some of the most dangerous chemicals, including flame retardants, endocrine disruptors, bisphenols, or even these forever chemicals called PFAS, are actually the building blocks of plastics.
We know the limitations of recycling. There's just too much waste, too much to cope with existing and even future recycling infrastructure.
We see this as a once-in-a-generation opportunity to tackle production, and it must form part of the treaty. We're calling for developed countries to support the Global South with financial means to facilitate their transition away from a single-use throwaway plastics economy to one based more on reuse and zero waste.
Investors in plastics and petrochemicals need to incorporate impacts on people and planet into the heart of the investment decision-making process.
If you don't know what you're tackling, you don't really know what to do with it. 70% of the chemicals that are put on the markets are almost unknown from public authorities. So the first thing that we need is regulation that improves the access to information.
We want to see member states, we want to see EU policymakers to address the healthcare sector as well when negotiating an ambitious treaty.
So we cannot get out of this problem with a technology shift. What we actually need is a systemic and transformational change of our production and consumption systems. The first thing we need to establish what's a sustainable level of plastic production. So once we determine this level, we're going to have to establish targets to reduce.
The plastic pollution issue isn't going to go away. We need to see a greater level of ambition from the developed world, need to stand with our allies in the Global South for a truly ambitious agreement.